Join Boise State Public Radio for a concert with blues rock guitarist and vocalist Coco Montoya at the Treefort Music Hall in Boise, February 13th, with reserved seating. A night with Coco Montoya and his band. Find details and a link for tickets at boisestatepublicradio.org.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Cadet. He has been called the best basketball player in the world. He was the original Laker superstar, and he was the first person to score 70 points in a game. Elgin Baylor launched his career right here in the Gem State when he came to the College of Idaho on a scholarship. He chose to come to Caldwell sight unseen back in 1954 because it was the only school to offer him a chance to play on an integrated team. C of I has already honored Baylor's contributions to the sporting world through a scholarship, which is currently paying full tuition to 6 students. Well, now it's doing more. It is renaming its basketball arena the Elgin Baylor Arena to honor his legacy. And so joining us to talk more about this is Regan Rossi. She is Vice President of Athletics at the College of Idaho. Regan, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Gemma.
So tell us who Elgin Baylor was. Tell us about his basketball career.
Well, I mean, you said it. He was arguably the best player in the world. What he did for basketball changed the game entirely. It's amazing when you think about where he started and the opportunities that he wasn't afforded, and the fact that we had the chance to get a player like that on our campus in our community, if only for a brief time, is really an amazing thing. To talk about his legacy and be it as a player, as a coach, we're just fortunate enough to have a little piece of that here at the College of Idaho.
So take us all the way back to 1954. How many Black players did C of I have on its basketball team at that time?
So 5.
Okay,
so
and how did?
Yep.
You have 5 other Black players. So how did Baylor come to Caldwell and the College of Idaho? I mentioned this. He wanted to play in an integrated team, and there weren't a lot of opportunities for that.
There weren't, and it was, back then you didn't have the film and the AAU programs where everybody could see everybody. So it was just, some word of mouth and some letter writing. And so he was given a scholarship and accepted. And it was, as you said, the only one he was given. And so he made the trek out to Idaho. And, one of the things that he got to experience here is it was the first time that he got to drink out of a drinking fountain that was not integrated, right, or not exclusively for white people. He got to live in a dorm. He got to go to class with his peers. He got to eat in the cafeteria. And I think, at that point in time, that wasn't the norm across the country. And to have that happen in a little community in Idaho, he states in his book, it felt like I wandered into an exclusive members only club, but rather than feeling intimidated and excluded like I did in DC, I felt invited.
Wow. It is really incredible to think back with, as you just mentioned, where he said this was the first time, drinking out of a drinking fountain that didn't say for colors only. And that happened in Caldwell. He must have felt, as you said, like how he wrote about in his book, welcome and all of that. And I'm curious about what happened to him after college. We know that he went on to become a basketball superstar, but he really credits so much of that to his time in Idaho.
Yeah, I think, we sometimes take for granted these transformative experiences that colleges have the opportunity to provide. And when I first met Elgin, when we inducted him into the Hall of Fame, he and his wife, Elaine, they're fantastic people, and were adamant about providing more opportunities for others, right? To provide opportunities for those who are still underprivileged, who still don't have the finances to make a place like College of Idaho a reality. And so that's where we got together with them and formed the Baylor Opportunity Fund. The ultimate goal of that fund is to support 44 students throughout the campus. Right now, like we said, we currently have 6 students. 5 of those students are from Idaho. Our most recent Baylor scholar is Utrillo Morris, a freshman on our men's basketball team. He's from Oregon. And without these opportunities, we don't know whose life we're not changing, whose life we're not giving the opportunity to transform and to go on and do great things like Elgin and Elaine have done.
You know, we've talked about how much coming to Caldwell meant to Baylor. But from what you just mentioned, in particular about this scholarship, how important was Baylor and how important is he currently to the College of Idaho?
He's extremely important. He's everything that we stand for, right? When we want to make a difference in the world, then we have to get outside our comfort zone, right? And we have to, that's where you grow. You grow in the uncomfortable. It was probably very uncomfortable for him to trek across the country to come to a small town in Idaho. It was probably very uncomfortable the first time he walked into his class. But that's where lives change and that's where things transform. And that's what we do best at the College of Idaho. We provide these opportunities where, we take our students, we take what they've learned at home and they take what they learned here and they get to transform into who they're going to be for the rest of their lives. And Elgin was a great example of that. And if we get to have a little piece of that, like we did for Elgin, we get to do that for their students, that's a pretty special thing.
You are officially renaming the basketball arena. This is happening on February 21st. Tell us, and I've got about 2 minutes left with you, why you decide to make this decision to rename it, but also what that really means, I think, for the memory and the legacy of Elgin Baylor.
We first started discussing this, a few years back, and it's one of those things that I think the time is right. I think it's something we can do to honor his legacy, and it's also to help continue to support this scholarship fund. I think, when we first brought this forward, a number of our prominent businesses in the Treasure Valley and throughout Idaho have jumped on board and have donated to the scholarship fund. And we don't want to lose momentum. We want people to know that we're extremely proud of who we are, our past, and where we're going, and that Elgin was a big part of that, and will continue to be a big part of who we are. And we can be a first start for a lot of people.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us about this and to really be able to learn more about this legacy. We've been speaking with Regan Rossi. She is Vice President of Athletics at the College of Idaho. We've been talking about the legacy of basketball great Elgin Baylor and his time at the College of Idaho. Now, there is going to be a dedication ceremony during the basketball game on February 21st. This will be to rename the court the Elgin Baylor Arena to honor his legacy. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Thanks so much for listening. And just a reminder, you can find all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
Whether Boise State Public Radio brings a smile to your day, some inspiration, or a greater connection to Idaho and the world, we're proud to be here with you. Federal funding, about $1.60 per person annually, helps keep these trusted services strong and accessible to everyone in our community. Learn how you can safeguard local public media stations like ours by visiting protectmypublicmedia.org.